Hello, everyone. Now, this one is dedicated to Elwira. Elwira does Tomb Raider and Resident Evil streams on Twitch. So, this video is brought to you by House of Danger. Choose your own adventure. It's not a bad game. You don't have to read the book. You just play the fucking game. Anyway, so this is uh, my limited collection of Resident Evil things. Now, I'm not a hardcore fan. I'm not a hardcore fan of all things Resident Evil or Tomb Raider, but I have what I have, and I'll be happy to share this with you because, much like Metal Gear and Pac Man and Mario and Zelda and Final Fantasy, there's something to admire about Resident Evil. Um, you know, I'll share my final thoughts about the lore once we get through the collection here. But yeah, it's a few things that I collected from when I was maybe 22 years old to now. So let's go ahead and start. And the first thing in our collection is Resident Evil Code Veronica. Now, this one is the first Resident Evil thing I ever collected. And let's see, I'll show you. And not only is it on, let me see what we got here. We got 2 discs. Check that out. So I'll show you the manual because people like the manual. And here we got, so we got the prologue. This is the first game I ever had for the series. Okay, so I didn't play one or two. I didn't have a PlayStation. To get the Resident Evil games, you had to have a PlayStation, and I collected mostly Nintendo. Now, RE2 did come out for the Nintendo 64, but I never bought it. I remember that false advertising they put, where it's like you essentially had. Let me see if I can get some light. Hold on. All right, slightly better. So all of these used to be black and white manuals. Get on or off objects. Equipment item. Check an item. Combine items. This is when the manual was also the cover to the discs, the game. Map file. You know what? I actually don't know if the VMU does anything. Change characters. You could change between Claire and what's this dude? Steve. Is that his name? Steve. Adam and Steve. Yeah, Steve Burnside. I think he's dead, right? Isn't he dead? Chris Redfield. He's not punching. He's too weak to punch any boulders in this one. Ah, here we go. It's just saving. I think. I don't think you can do anything with. So that's this one. So it came in 2 discs. I don't know if Code Veronica comes in. Code Veronica X comes in 2 discs. I would probably assume it does. Maybe not, because there were no enhancements for that. So, like, I'm not sure what Code Veronica X difference is. You know the difference because I've seen you play it a few hours worth. So I got to put this back in. So that is my introduction to Resident Evil. And then, as insignificant as this is, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Jill does make an appearance in here. So let me show you really quick. Here is Jill. There is Jill Valentine. Special moves. Close fighting, grenade launcher, return fire. Let's see, close fighting A+. So she can do a little bit of stuff. She works for Stars. She's got the Stars logo. Assist type, heal, dash, and projectile. So she's part of the Marvel vs. Capcom family. The Dreamcast, a friend of mine helped me buy. I saved my money up when I was 21 years old, and I finally bought the Dreamcast. I just like the 60 frames per second stuff. So, a couple of appearances. I think those are the only Resident Evil games. As maybe not. I'm thinking about it. One, two, three. I think those are the only Resident Evil games on the Dreamcasts. I might be completely wrong. Somebody will correct me if I am. Now, this one is what got me really, really, really into the series, but I didn't get very far. Now, I'm going to confess something to you. I cheated on this. I cheated. I used Pro Action Replay discs to play and get to the end. And then yet, I would see all the different things that would happen. You have this one powerful enemy that you can't stop, and there's an invisible enemy. And of course, unlike digital versions and future versions, you got 2 discs. Look at that. 2 fucking discs, right? So this was from 2001, 2002. No. Can't be. 02. Oh yeah, my dad passed away on that year. A lot of changes happened for me, but I'll show you the manual. Here is Jill fighting up. This is my favorite scene, with all the facial expressions and all that. And everything's in color. Here are the GameCube controls, what each button does. I have my so I know I have my original GameCube controller somewhere, but it doesn't really work. I had to get new controllers for my old systems, Super Nintendo and the GameCube, so that I can get things working again. So I did not get the original game for this. I didn't have the PlayStation at all. I wouldn't have a PlayStation system until the Vita. So there's Chris and there's Jill. Remember the actors, the low budget actors that played them. I think one of them did an interview about it. The game modes. I always like this screen. You are dead. You are dead. Not that you died. That you are dead. God damn. Fly in my face. It's not easy doing any of this stuff because everything that wants to fuck with your video can fuck with your video, and all you want to do is a simple thing in the fucking universe. So this is the manual. Ink ribbons. You got limited ink ribbons. But the best part about this remake was that all the sort of the rendered screens, everything was pre-rendered. Now, when you see pre-rendered stuff, you're like, okay, big deal. But at 24 years old, I mean, you really convinced me at that point because everything looks so different. And there's Barry. There's Barry. Without his beard. I mean, he looks better with a sort of a grizzly beard. But we'll get more into that. I mean, Jesus. And then, let's see what else we have. Now, I skipped the other GameCube versions of the other games and went straight to 4. Now, 4, it says only for Nintendo GameCube. We know that's a lie. As this one was a lie too, because nobody really understood timed exclusives. Now we are well aware of timed exclusives, but timed exclusives were just a limited, like maybe you knew about it, maybe you didn't. And show you the inside, and of course, as you were expecting, 2 discs. And I'll show you the manual to this one. Now, I was trying to find some old reviews of my any Resident Evil games. I remember there was Dead Aim, I think. Resident Evil Dead Aim that involved a large alligator. Do you remember the large alligator in Resident Evil Dead Aim? That, I mean, I know, but this is the best Ashley. Forget the new Ashley. This is the best Ashley right here. This is all the Ashley you ever need. Leon should have taken her offer at the end, don't you think? Anyway, this is the prologue. Much better presentation. I remember the creator was very unhappy that people didn't like his remake of Resident Evil 1. So they went with 4 to make it easier. You don't need ink ribbons, you just save, which is fine. Unlike some fan games that I was trying out last week, and can't save, can't download. And I like the newer voice actor for Wesker. The thing was, though, and I think they used that same voice actor for Resident Evil 4 to dub in his voice for RE1 for HD. Is that correct? I thought that would be kind of funny. No, Jill, it's too dangerous to go out there. Like if you use that guy, he would have given away his character right away just by the sound of his voice. Like the original Wesker voice actor was like, "No, Jill, don't go out there. It's too dangerous." Like you can't tell if Wesker was the bad guy or not. But of course, now everybody knows the game like the back of their head. Oh yeah, Wesker's the bad guy, so let him sound evil. uh, so game over continues, saving and loading. Sometimes in some of these, you have like flyers for other things. I did not get this chainsaw controller. It's worth lots of money. And oh look, it's Elvira. No, that's just Mila Jovovich. I get the two confused, but there she is, Mila Jovovich for Resident Evil Apocalypse. I had a choice between buying the Resident Evil movie collection on DVD or the Rambo collection. I picked Rambo instead. You probably could do worse than the movies. Yeah, there's the guide, and I kind of like the back of the RE1 because this kind of feels a little too much like an advertisement. Just you don't even need the advertisement. You just cover it up. You just need the back art. Make this a little bigger, right, on Photoshop, and then it looks better. You don't need all that. And so I didn't watch the Mila movies, but I did watch. I watched this with a blind date one time. She kind of really didn't like it. Resident Evil Regeneration, and this was my first introduction. So I mean, I liked it. Of course, the animation, and when you look at the Netflix version of Claire and Leon Kennedy, it's much better. But this was what 2000 and what year was this? Hold on, let me get my magnifying glass for this kind of thing because sometimes I have to tell what's going on there. Where is it? Where's the year? 2008. It says 2008 there. So it's 2008. Okay. And this is taking place in between 2 and 4. So he didn't meet Ashley yet, and he had already gone through the worst of in RE2. And I'd like to say that it wasn't a complete disaster. I mean, I thought, maybe I'll get back to RE, and I do plan to go back to RE1 and play that one, and Veronica. I do need another HDMI cable for the Dreamcast. But oh, now I bought this old, and I'll show it to you. Here is Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles. Shit game, okay? Have you played this? Oh, shoot him in the mouth. Shoot the creature in the mouth. I shot that creature in the mouth so many times, like the bullets would fill his intestines. He wouldn't be alive. If you saw a creature like that, you'd shoot it. In 10 shots, that thing would be dead. Like, there's no fucking way that thing would still be alive. I kept shooting round after round after round with my Wiimote and all this stuff, and I was pissed. Yes, it's a rail shooter, and you think even if it's a rail shooter, it still should be enjoyable, and it wasn't. It just wasn't fun for me. I tried as hard as I could, and no. So let me show you some other ones, if I have them. Hold on. Okay, I bought this one used. This is Resident Evil Revelations. I'm still currently on the ship. I have not finished this. This is involving Jill Valentine and some foreigner. This was fun. I mean, so far, it was like, to me, it's like the easiest of the Resident Evil games. If you have a friend and your friend's like, well, I don't like Resident Evil, this is the game you start them on. Okay, you start them on this one, then RE4, and then maybe RE1. I would say probably maybe 2 or 3 are the hardest. I can't speak for 7 and 8. You could tell me. You know what you could do? Maybe you could do this for YouTube. I know you don't really go on YouTube much, but maybe you could do like one of these streams you can do. You could do like a tier list, like which one is more difficult and which one do you like the best of all. But like, if you had to choose difficulty, but this one I would say is the easiest of the Resident Evils. And to add a sequel, I mean, let's see if I have it in here. Is it in here? I got Dino Crisis. Resident Evil Revelations 2. Now, I am not going to launch this. Oh, you can barely see. Let's get a little. I want to be objective here. Okay, so I'm not going to launch this game. The reason why I'm not going to launch this game is because it's a lot of times it's very buggy. Now this game pushed the PS Vita to the fucking limit, and I do believe that the Vita is not region locked. I don't think it's region locked. Because I think I have a PEGI game, so I think you could play other games on the Vita. I'm not sure if it's all the regions or if it's most of the regions. So I did try to find a physical version. I'm not sure, like if it was too expensive, but I did download a version. So this one's very hard to play. This is probably hard as nuts. There's some puzzle. I mean, what I like about it is that you're using two people at once. It's kind of doing the whole Leon and Ashley thing, but the very, very start, right? I think you already knew that. But for those of you who don't know RE2 or the RE series, Biohazard series, it's a little bit of puzzle platforming, and there's some side stories, but it can get aggravating, and it gets aggravating to play because the file ends up corrupting other files. So the Vita is can be shitty to use. So that's just the most difficult version of RE that I have. And a friend of mine, good old Kali UK, I have a little bit of gameplay on my channel. But here is the Wii edition of RE4. And unlike Umbrella fucking Chronicles, this is much easier to play, and I love this version. This is probably the best version of RE4 to exist to date. And like I said, it's you know what I do when I go through RE4? The first thing I look for are bear traps. I'm always looking for bear traps, and everything comes out red when you're pointing that gun, when you're pointing that Wiimote. So I'm always looking for bear traps and trigger wires. So it's much easier. It's a little easier to play this one. But I went back to play a bit of the GameCube edition, the original. So it's getting HDMI converters and converting everything over to HDMI. I know it's 2023 and I'm just late to the party, but some of us are Rip Van Winkle. Some of us have to really try to adjust. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. My final thing is the deck building game that I've shown before, and I really enjoy that one. Really enjoy it. I modified the rules so that you can have basically it's like Munchkin rather than a complex set of 18, was it 6x3 shops. It was like a grid. The problem with that game is that it's not that it's terrible, it just works for other games and not Resident Evil license. It's got to feel like the video game. It's got to be fast. You have a combat knife or two combat knives and a gun and some limited ammo, and you got to think fast. And it's got to be 10 seconds to shoot or stab your enemy. So it's got to go quick. So that's the way that's my collection. Unfortunately, I do not have, and I don't have any Resident Evil games for the Switch or the Steam Deck, but I do want to get RE2 remake. I have Resident Evil 2 is the one I'm kind of looking at, maybe 7 or 8. My final thoughts. I'm not as connected to this as I would be to like maybe Zelda or Mario. But honestly, I'm not connected too much to lore when it comes to video games. I just play the video game. I enjoy it. I play it. I get good at it. Hopefully, I last long enough to want to play more. But I don't know. Like after 5 and 6 got ridiculous with the superheroics of the protagonists, Then 7 and 8 became more vague. What I would like to see is like a post-apocalypse kind of thing where it's like maybe Mad Max, something where it's like Fallout, you know. And why not have? I don't know if Barry's still if Barry. And by the way, you know, Barry is my favorite. I think of all the Resident Evil guys, right? Is Barry Burp? That's his real name, Barry Burpton. I never knew his last name was Burpton, but that's Barry Burpton. And I mean, he seems very alpha male, but it's almost like he doesn't know what he's doing. He seems like a broken man that probably has to like take meds. Maybe he's got a wife, a kid, but he's that kind of guy that gets up out of bed and just like touches his forehead, and it's like, oh God, I gotta take gotta take my Tylenol and get out there. Oh my God, I gotta go fight zombies again. Oh shit, like, and he kind of acts a little macho, but he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. You know what I mean? Like, give him a boulder, what would he do with it, right? If they had to really, I know there were like different actors. They didn't seem like Barry, but if you had to really ask me, right, who should play Barry Burpton? It's got to be fucking Chuck Woolery. Chuck Woolery could play Barry Burpton easily. You know what I mean? So like, let's see the next Resident Evil, right? And you get Chuck's likeness, right, as Barry, and he could fight the he's got a white old beard now, but he could fight the zombies in the post-apocalypse, right? There's no you know, how do I say it? Like, there are no cities, there are no civilizations. Everybody's looking out for themselves. Like the virus, the G virus, the T virus, the Z virus, the Omega virus has really consumed. Like, you're looking for other people and other signs of life. It could be like the whole Logan narrative, like escaping the border, finding a better life away from the zombies. Like there's, I was thinking of Marvel zombies. You know, in Marvel zombies, all the superheroes are corrupted, and so you know they have to find a better life. So I don't know, like. Oh, you know what'd be interesting? What about a zombie that comes back to life but isn't completely whole, right? So maybe one of these zombies here could be cured, but he's not all the way cured, right? And he now works for Stars, like a former zombie that works for Stars. How about that? I have not seen that ever. I want to see new things. And the music you've been hearing is from. This is not Resident Evil, but this is the Tormented Souls game, and I've been playing a little bit of it. Haven't been getting very far. There's that map again, and I still have it in my my Switch. But this is fun, and Tormented Souls, Resident Evil. To me, it's all the same. How dare I say that? If you like this video, if it's good enough for you, you see those buttons below. You know what to do. A couple more videos tonight. I got to finish a certain movie that I have not seen ever since when I was like maybe, 22 years old?